update Minnesota's tax code with the rest of the world. But the fact of the matter is there's no other states that have a similar tax idea that's what you're putting forth here. They had in the Middle Ages, if you had extra windows, it was considered a sign of wealth. So what happened? The rich simply boarded up their windows. When these things get put into place, people find inventive ways to get around them. In Minnesota, we've seen this already with our tax code. We've lost high earners because they simply can leave. And then where does the tax burden fall? Once again, on the middle class. When is enough enough? It seems like there's insatiable lust for more taxes, and yet when you see our spending in this state over the last 10 years has nearly doubled from a $35 billion budget in this state to almost $70 billion. We haven't fixed the problems yet, have we?
Hi, hello, how you doing? This is Navigator here. Yeah, I'm gonna bring you some big news, which is something that you will get in no matter any blue state, if it's California, Virginia now with Spamberger because they got she lied to them. What else? Basically any blue state you live in, Illinois, Chicago, the city, they're gonna get a huge wealth tax, which is basically they're gonna steal more of your money, and the reason is they lost USAID. That was where the Democrats were getting the majority of their money. And now that that's gone, they're broke. Well, they're so broke, they had to go into debt just to keep the lights on. And now their best idea is they say they're going to tax the wealthiest people, socialism, and take it from them, but it won't work because they'll just leave. Just like in Cuba, every communist country, the people with money will leave. And so what will happen is it's going to go down to the middle class like it did in Chicago. Yeah, they thought that only the rich were going to get taxed. No, when the rich go, they're still going to tax that money. They're going to go to the others, the lower class, the middle class. And now they're trying to do that everywhere because, well, not only did they lose USAID, which was just fraud, Nick Shirley, and not just him, but many other independent journalists are exposing that Democrats can't exist without fraud. And so we're in taxes. So that's why they're getting the tax increase on everything so they can cover up for the fraud, but it will never be enough. It will never be enough. They will never stop taxing you. And then they'll try to move, the people who leave, they'll try to move to a blue state and move to a red state like Texas or Florida, and they will ruin it, turning it into the same place they left. Honestly, the same as the non-citizens. God, I hate that word so much. But don't take my word for it. Take a look.
We had a big election last year in Virginia. Abigail Spamberger and Virginia Democrats won big because they told voters that they would reduce the cost of living and improve affordability in the Commonwealth. But this legislative session, a lot of Virginia Democratic lawmakers have proposed over 50 new tax increases and proposals. I'll read some of them to you. They include additional local sales tax in all Virginia counties and cities, new personal property tax on electric leaf blowers and electric landscaping equipment, large employer tax, gun and ammunition tax, new income tax brackets, a delivery tax. This would hit you if you ordered things on Amazon, Uber Eats, UPS, FedEx, etc. Investment income tax, event tax, concert tax, storage facility tax, gym membership tax, dog walking tax, dog grooming tax, counseling tax, got to catch my breath, digital personal property tax, new car taxes and highway use fees, increase in the hotel tax here in Arlington, statewide speed cameras. Now, those aren't taxes, but drivers would pay more fines if that went through. A dry cleaning tax, concert tax, home repair tax, and a vehicle repair tax. Now, I did reach out to Spamberger's office and Don Scott's office. He's the speaker here in Virginia, as well as the leader in the Senate, asking them, how would all of this make life more affordable to you? We'll put their responses on our webpage, WJLA.com.
I'm not arguing for it. I'm just saying it's not a millionaire tax, it's a billionaire tax. And the idea would be, I guess, to use that revenue in order to offer improvements for the average Californian.
Worth debating. Why pick $1 billion? Why in Washington did you pick $1 million? Why don't you pick 999,999? Why not pick 500,000? Why pick 5%? Why not 6? Why not 10? Why not 20? Why not 50? The thing is, it's all arbitrary just to attack people that we hate. And it is not for the public benefit. In California, the state auditor just found $70 billion in fraud going on in the state. The reason they need a wealth tax is to cover up the fraud. The hole in the budget in California is due to fraud. That's why they're trying to tax these
but you
people.
just
out.
admitted that it was
in
about
every state in the union.
70
red
billion?
states and in blue states. I mean, look, in Mississippi, there was a massive fraud scheme.
What about the other end
a massive fraud scheme that was, I think, something like $70 million.
What about the
in
70
Mississippi.
million? They're pikers compared to Minneapolis.
Well,
What's going on there right
you just
now?
said, look, that's a lot of money for the state of Mississippi. But
How about
let
$9
me
billion
just
in Minnesota?
Let me just lay out what this is. Ro Khanna.
Yes, and Scott Jennings is correct. They're doing this because the mass exodus and the fraud that's been uncovered and losing USAID money, they're broke. All the Democrat states are broke. And not only that, since the mass deportations started going on the way, people have learned California cannot exist without slave labor from foreigners. Fourth largest economy. They can only exist with slaves. That's what they are, let's be honest. And yeah, they're done like Christ. And it's funny because they think a tax hike is going to help them. No, it is not. What's going to happen is all the rich people are going to leave. So who are they going to have the tax left? The middle class, i.e. the people who voted for the Democrats. Single moms, single young people. God dang, these people are stupid. And yeah, and they're gonna go bankrupt because socialism only lasts when you have other people's money. And they won't. Their tax rate will dry up because all they will be left with are foreigners who, let's be honest, no matter what they say, they do not pay taxes. And neither do the lazy socialists. They don't have any money to begin with. And it's going to keep, these cities are going to keep getting worse and worse. Wall Street's about to leave New York. Heck, I bet you no, I can't do that, sorry. Heck, I kind of believe, it won't take long for the National Guard to get there, though. New York's already a mess. Since the beginning of Mandami's term, the rate of rape, violent assault towards women and Jews have increased by 300%, and it's going to keep increasing. And I don't get why women voted for that guy. I guess they really don't know what Islam is. Like, it's crazy because you see these white liberal women simping for Iran, but they don't know what Iran, but then they go to Iran and then they find out quick. I swear, the best way to radicalize a liberal and make them conservative, take them to California or New York for a day. And that will do it, because unfortunately, with liberals, since they're dumb and propagandized, you need to give them what they want in order for them to see that they were duped. Like Spamberger, they got what they wanted. A moderate Democrat, which that was a lie. There's no such thing as a moderate Democrat. Yeah, she lied to you guys, and you got a high tax rate. More taxes. And gerrymandering tried to kill elections. Democracy. Yeah. Something that they hate. The Democrats hate democracy. And they will say, and they're doing this because the Texas started it. No. The Democrats have been gerrymandering since before 2025, since Trump got in office. And don't ever let anyone tell you, if anyone ever says that there is no difference between a Democrat and Republican on a local level, they are liars. They are black pill liars, or they are idiots. Or white little women, same thing. Because you do not see this happening in red states. They have no income tax, or very low. They have lower crime because they're tough on crime, and they don't release people just for the skin color. Like, no joke, if I was in California, New York, or Chicago, I am positive that if I was a teenager and I did crimes, I would not get arrested. And I know I wouldn't. The mayor of Chicago said, the mayors of all, and governors of all these blue cities and states tell their cops to never arrest anyone, because communism needs crime. They need it so that the criminals would attack the citizens, so that they would be too distracted and scared to fight up against the government. I mean, heck, remember when Trump sent the National Guard down to Washington, D.C., and a bunch of white liberal women and people who don't even live in that place, mostly Democrats, and people in the media, said, no, they do not need this. It's just racist nonsense, blah, blah, blah. But you had the actual citizens living there happy, because they could do something that they couldn't do that we all take for granted, and that's just walk outside at night. Like, think of it. I can walk outside at night. You probably can walk outside at night too. They couldn't because of all the violence that the Democrats refuse to do anything about it. And you know why? Simple. If they will see that A, the Democrats could have cleaned that up whenever they wanted to, they just chose not to, and B, they didn't want the slaves off the plantation. That's really it. And now they're trying to do this tax hike because they think it would help them short term. Maybe. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even think it's constitutional, because Greg Abbott and I actually thought it would be awesome if they tariff people who left blue states coming to red states, but nah, that's unconstitutional. And not only that, this will hurt them so hard because they will never get any new business. They will never get any new residents. Why would anyone go there if they're going to get taxed when they leave? And you know that's not going to be the only one. They're going to tax you if you try to come in too, which that will kill them. They will tax your soul if they really could, which they really would want to. If someone found out where the soul is, Democrats would be trying to make a soul tax.
A growing number of blue states are exploring an exit tax or wealth tax in order to combat revenue losses from residents fleeing to lower tax areas. At least 10 have recently explored proposals, including California, Michigan, and Washington State. The National News Desk, Jeff Harris, joining us. And we know it's not just notable high net worth people, Jeff, that are leaving these tax states, but also businesses like Chevron and Uber. Tell us more.
So major corporations, financial firms, and also people continue to relocate their headquarters or operations from high-tax states like California and New York to more business-friendly areas like Texas and Florida. The move's coming as more blue states explore these wealth and also exit taxes. Across the country, at least 10 states are now exploring or have already passed an exit or wealth tax in order to combat revenue losses from residents fleeing to lower tax areas. That includes California, New York, and Michigan.
Tally up the value of your home, your cars, your furniture, your assets, your stocks, your bonds, your art. And there is a tax on that value.
Sandra Swirsky, founder of Integer, a government relations and advocacy firm, tells the National News Desk, among the most prominent, California's proposed Billionaire Tax Act, which would impose a one-time 5% tax on the total net worth of anyone worth over $1 billion living in the state, impacting at least 200 people.
The value of these assets, of your net worth, in some cases is very easy to calculate, stocks and bonds and the like. In other cases, it's really difficult to calculate.
Also, Washington State, who just passed a 9.9% tax on incomes over $1 million. The bill's passage coming around the same time, Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz, who has an estimated net worth of over $3 billion, announced his move to Florida. Not just move himself down to Florida, but he's moving his entire company, Starbucks, out of the state of Washington. That's huge. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon taking a swing at New York City officials this week, saying high taxes are causing a surge of businesses to leave the Big Apple. Quote, the truth is that while New York City has much going for, particularly for financial companies, it also has the highest city and state corporate taxes and the highest individual income and state taxes. Thoughts Dimon echoed about a week ago.
All you have to do is look at California versus Nevada. New York versus Florida, and there's a huge exodus taking place.
Meanwhile, New York Governor Kathy Hochul acknowledging that the state's tax base has been heavily impacted by an exodus to low-tax states, urging wealthier residents to come back.
I need people who are high net worth to support the generous social programs that we want to have in our state. But maybe the first step should be go down to Palm Beach and see who you can bring back home, because our tax base has been eroded.
Now, according to the most recent IRS service data from 2022 to 2023, due to migration from blue to red states, California lost just under $12 billion and New York $9.9 billion, while Florida gained $20.5 billion and Texas $5.5 billion. Our research are also finding a massive population shift, with data showing from 2024 to 2025, California lost nearly 230,000 residents. Reporting for the National News Desk, I'm Jeff Harris.
Yeah, I kind of feel sad. I do not feel sad for people who live in blue states. You voted for this. You voted for the high taxes. You vote to lose your money. You vote for communism and socialism And I'm starting to realize, just like the word Nazi, the useful idiots of the left, especially the white liberal women, don't know what socialism or communism is. They're just propagandizing dumb. And they're idiots. And yeah, if Democrats, I swear, if someone found a soul, Democrats would try to tax it. And they're going to try to tax people trying to go into the state, which is also going to hurt them a lot. But, I don't care. The South is going to be good. This is where we're getting all the money. No one's going to... Why would anyone want to go to a blue state if they'll get taxed by leaving? Just don't go. That really showed you that they don't know how to make money and they don't know how to run a business. Well, of course not. The only idea to fix anything is to spend more money. And now, to finish this episode, I would like to go through the Bible in a chapter that really does fit up perfectly what's going on. Michi. Woe to the evildoers. Woe to the evildoers. Woe to those who deceive inequality and work out evil on their deeds. At morning light they practice it, because it is in the power of their hands. They convert fields and take them by violence, also horses, and seize them. So they oppress a man and his horse, a man and his inheritance. Therefore thus say the Lord, behold, against this family I am deceiving disaster, from which you cannot remove your neck, nor shall you walk hastily, for this is an evil time. In that day one shall take up a proverb against you, and lament with a bitter lamentation, saying, we are utterly destroyed. He has changed the inheritance of my people. How he has removed it from me to a turncoat. He has divided our fields. Therefore you will have no one to determine boundaries by lot in the assembly of the Lord. Thank you. This is Navigator. Please send me comments and tell me if you, and that's the way the cookie crumbles. Goodbye.